practice. There we go.
Okay.
Thank you. So I'd like to call to order this April 4th, 2024 meeting of the Norwalk Shellfish Commission. The chair indicates that a quorum is present and has additional attendance been taken. I think we're having comms issues, so let me move on. Approval of the minutes from the March meeting. Nick or John?
I approve.
Thank you. And a second, which I guess I can. And all in favor?
Aye.
And let's move along to public comment. Indicates that we have one attendee with a hand up. If the moderator would recognize her, please.
So she
Yeah, Bill, we're only hearing like maybe 1 out of every 10 beats from you. A very poor connection, it sounds like. Looks like Bill logged off. Maybe he's trying to get back in. We'll stand by.
I'm here, Steve.
Thank you, Pete. Bill, we see you as unmuted, but can't hear anything from your side.
Yeah, I have it all right now.
Yeah, but it's broken up.
Johnny, how was it? What's going on? What's going on right now?
We have my little garage apartment out here. And then we decided we're like, we gotta move because of 9/11, we don't want to.
John, you may wish to mute.
Ever since, that's amazing. What an amazing place.
That was our first house in Hollywood.
You're right.
Our first house in
John,
my
can you mute,
house.
please?
Yep.
Sounds like 20 people talking.
I know, I can't believe you're just graduating from.
Wendy.
I'm going away. I'm like me barely knowing you and like, right, you know. Impressive.
It's a very, I don't know. You know, like, I don't know, like, I can't believe I've been so worried for the last 2 years. Everything he's done, he's been followed by like 3 guys that could like save the world if they needed to. Yeah, they're training, but they always have guys right there.
Is it possible
Now
to
he's
mute
gonna
his
get out of
line?
it.
You don't know where he goes, right? Well,
He's not going to get deployed for another. If he gets deployed at all, he's not going to get deployed for another year.
really?
He wants to be a foreman, which is a combat medic. So he's going to New
Jonathan, do you
Orleans.
copy?
Work with a gunshot hospital. Is there?
I really did not.
Is there concern about China? No. Is there concern about, because I've heard from other people that they're concerned about being deployed on Taiwan. Like, is that an actual physical concern? Yeah, they're not telling us, but they're certainly not telling him he's a baby.
So they're not sending you.
To the chair, if you can hear me, if you kill all of the microphones and then just bring one on at a time, we can get through.
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
great. I texted John, no reply. There he is. Okay, great. Thanks, Jonathan. So let's just quickly go back to the approval of the minutes. Approval of the minutes from March.
Approve.
Okay, second.
Pete Johnson, second.
Thanks. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And public
I
comment? We
apologize
had-
about that. It said my microphone was muted, but I apologize.
No worries, John. So public comment. We do have a hand up, and if she could be recognized, that would be wonderful.
Hey, I'm having some problems. Would you be able to do that for me?
All I heard is do that for me. I don't know who you were asking, Bill.
Steve, would you be able to let Miss Jones speak? I'm having some difficulties with my audio for some reason.
Okay, I don't know if I have that ability. I don't think I have that ability. I do not.
All right.
Right. I'm sorry, Miss Jones. I'm having some trouble right now.
Really
I
apologize.
apologize.
Is this any better now,
Any better
Steve?
now, Steve? Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's echoing now, Bill.
Hello? Hello? Yeah. I'm
So
sorry. I'm
it's
sorry.
okay. Miss Jones has sent me her comments.
Okay,
Without objection, I could read them into the record. Is that okay?
please do. I'm sorry, Miss Jones.
No worries. Let's do this. Okay, says, my name is Linnell Jones and I've lived at 10 Point Road since the mid 80s. My husband and I also owned 8 Point Road and 2.5 Nathan Hale Drive during the 90s, giving me a firsthand knowledge of all work reviewed, permitted, and completed on Nathan Hale Drive, a private road in the Wilson Point Peninsula. 2 Nathan Hale Drive's application for dredging, about a 30% increase, is on your agenda this evening and will likely be called a routine maintenance dredging by the applicant's representative. Tonight, I ask that you, as a condition of any further review or any approval, require a survey of 2 outflow pipes this homeowner added to the plot between his dock and 2.5 Nathan Hale Drive. Please review the conditions from the original 1984 permit for this dock, a tidal wetland permit, which prohibited disturbing intertidal vegetation, adding fill, and limiting dredging. Deep identified multiple violations when they visited 2 Nathan Hale, the seawall being extended more than approved and the dock being built wider than approved. Obvious big things, bold transgressions that only someone not worried about repercussions, someone confident their hired hands could handle this behind the scenes would do. A survey of the new outflow pipes will show if they ever have been reviewed by DEEP. Tonight, I'm asking you to require a survey of the 2 new outflow pipes as a condition for further review or any approval of what is clearly 30% more than previously approved maintenance dredging. Some of you will remember my May 2021 presentation to this commission request for a site plan review, which questioned the NYC at 10 Nathan Hale Drive and asked why there was no review at the state, city, or commission level for the drainage work and new outflows at Nathan Hale Drive at 2 Nathan Hale Drive. SIC on that. Waters tested in Wilson Cove following my presentation found bacteria levels high in Wilson Cove. Wilson pointed the finger at the city, saying Trolley Lane was the problem. Following disparaging me in February 2023, the Norwalk Yacht Club was issued a serious notice of violation by DEEP, which for the second time identified Wilson Cove waters as impaired. As a result, DEEP now requires the NYC to test twice a year, results that have not been shared. Following the Norm Bloom recall, and I and the Shellfish thank you for asking many questions about this application, previous violations, and why this new 30% increase in dredging, incorrectly referred to as routine maintenance, is even being considered given the original tidal wetland permit. How many times does it take to realize some people always do more than what is approved and manipulate data? ? The answer is blowing in the wind. Thank you for requiring a survey of the two outflow drains, which appeared to be referred to in the application. Linnell Jones. I hope I got that in for within 3 minutes for you, Linnell.
Through the chair, this is the secretary.
Yes, ma'am.
Could you forward that document to Cheryl, or to, if you have my email address, forward it to me?
Yes, we'll do. No problem. Thank you. Seeing no more public comment. Treasurer's report, Bill. Are you able to do that?
Are you able to hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, great. Sorry about all that. So I have a balance beginning January 1st. This was not in a previous reporting, so I wanted to bring that up. So there was an expenditure regarding the Yukon Marketplace for $70. I believe that was when you went to the Shellfish meeting, Steve, and that was the fee for that. So the balance as of January 31st was $25,453. Beginning on March, there was an expenditure for Silver Mine Press for the new Shellfish permits of $515. The balance for March 31st, 2024 was $24,938. That is it.
Thank you so much, Bill. Much better hearing you too. Secretary's report, no report. We'll go right into the committee reports and back to you, Bill, Department of Health.
Sure. So the rainfall for March was 9.45. Last year was 4.55, and historically it's 4.12. So we had a little over twice as much this past month. As a result of that, there were 5 closures on March 2nd, March 6th, March 9th, March 23rd, and March 28th, all due to excessive rainfall. There were 3 bypasses recorded on 3/6, 3/9, and 3/23. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Bill. Wastewater treatment plant, there's no one here. Mayor's Water Quality Committee is still in limbo. I have had a request or two with respect to changing the time of this meeting, essentially swapping with the Mayor's Water Quality Committee usual time at 6 until such time that this can be rectified and the Mayor's Water Quality Committee starts again. Anyone have any questions or comments about that before we move on to the rest of the committee
I
reports?
make a motion to switch it to 6 o'clock.
Any second?
Second motion.
Thanks. And all in favor? Aye.
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 All right, Bill, let's see if we can do that. And
Yes.
that would be good until the other committee comes back.
Will do. I'll work on that for next month.
Thank you kindly, sir. Any news on permits? No, okay. Police, I saw Sergeant Bisegli here, and yes, he is. Sergeant,
How you
please.
doing,
Sir.
Nothing really to report on our end. Obviously, we changed the flags out and we just got a notice of closure today due to the rains. We'll swap those out tomorrow if they haven't been already. Everything is, still pretty quiet so far. So nothing really to report.
Great. You guys didn't have to go out yesterday, did you?
We were working yesterday, but we didn't go out yesterday. But we did get another 3 inches of water in our building. So surf crews there now, dealing with some flooding.
Oh my goodness. Good luck with that,
So,
Sergeant. Thank you,
thanks.
sir.
And then,
Advisory.
water temp is probably around, I think it's like 42, 43 last time I was out there.
Still deadly. Thank you.
Yep.
The Norwalk Harbor Management Commission, Chairman Kibbe and Mr. Stedman, please, sirs.
Thank you, Chairman Bartosh. What I have to report really is just two things, and the most important one is the reacting to the Connecticut Deep's request for or their intent to approve the CLNP Eversource application for undergrounding the high voltage transmission lines that are currently on the Walk Bridge under the Norwalk River. That's the extent of the document that we have. It's just the river piece of this. What the Harbor Commission didn't vote as a commission to express an opinion. We thought it was more effective to go request a hearing by petition. So several of our members went out and within a few days succeeded in getting enough permission, signatures to send to Deep to request a public hearing on the underwatering of those lines under Water Street. So that's underway. We're waiting to hear back from Deep about when they're going to have their hearing and so on and so forth. And a lot of people are kind of unhappy about this, as it may put a little delay on the project. But on the other hand, are so many items that are really kind of unresolved, even from the presentation we received from Deep about what they intend to do there. So I think it's important to have a hearing. And secondly, we did notice that the DOT had changed their procedure from using a horizontal drilling method to get their high voltage wires and their signal wires under the river. They've now gone to a micro tunneling technique, which is really building a permanent concrete tube that a human being can access under the river, which makes much more sense for future upgrades, maintenance, and inspection of the conductors in a proper conduit. So that sort of prompted the Harbor Commission to take a little action on that. I don't know what. And Jeff, do you have anything?
Yeah, if you might I say a few things?
Surely.
Steve, on the 2 Nathan Hale project, when you get around to discussing that, I do have a few comments to make or some background insights about that. And I think the issue is that the procedure for Deep review of this may be criticized as being a bit flawed, and that might be something you'd want to make a comment to about too Deep. But when you get to that, I can mention a few things. And then the harbor master provided some more interesting photos of conditions on Water Street last night. Again, thinking ahead to future high density residential development on that area is sort of interesting. The Veterans Park Marina is I believe it's received all of the authorizations necessary. I think that they're waiting to get the Corps of Engineers approval, and then there was agreement that the Harbor Commission will apply for a small harbor improvement grant from the Port Authority for construction of that, with the understanding that the opinion of probable cost now is about $4 million for redoing the marina. And we can't expect to get all of that amount from the Port Authority grant, because there are other towns, in Connecticut that are applying for a limited pot of funds. but it was recommended by the Port Authority that we apply for the whole amount, and then we'll see what the Port Authority may be able to provide. So that grant application is due July 1st. So the Harbor Commission will be putting that together and submitting it. Another topic that might be of interest is the ONG project that's now pending, where ONG would open up their facility again for waterborne, inborne, if that's the right word, shipments of aggregate. And that's quite interesting. It raises a number of questions because back in 2007, the Harbor Commission went through the effort of realigning the federal channel in the upper harbor in the vicinity of ONG and Divine Brothers, and in fact narrowed the channel so that the barges that would be tied up to ONG and Divine Brothers would not be in the channel. And that left only a 40-foot wide channel providing access from the Norwalk Boat Club down into the main channel. And when you look at it now, it looks like Divine's barges are out into the channel, further narrowing it. And if ONG brings in barges, that might narrow it too. So that's going to require some coordination in order not to block the Norwalk Boat Club. And then what we've also realized is that there's a neighborhood group called the Norwalk Green that is organizing to express opposition to the ONG project too, because of the residential development at the head of the harbor and to the south of ONG, and those residents get out to East Avenue through it's Hubble's Lane up by the Norwalk Green and Moody's Lane, and so now with trucks coming out of ONG. That there's potential conflict. So that's an interesting project that still is under review by planning and zoning. And then, as Alan mentioned, that gets us to the Eversource project. And I won't take a whole lot of time to talk about it, but we've all been looking at this since 2015, and it's gone through multiple iterations, if that's the right word, beginning with a proposal that would put the relocated transmission lines between the pilings of the dock. And some of us felt that you didn't have to have an advanced degree in engineering to think that that's probably not a good idea to do. And then we realized that we understood or learned that there are alternatives to what's being proposed now, including angling the drill to the south of the visitor's dock and then bending it north. And at first, Eversource said they couldn't do that because they couldn't bend the line when it's underground. Not the drill under the harbor, but once it got onto the ground on the park. And then we learned that wasn't correct. And then the next reason for not doing that was that they would cut off part of 90 Water Street. And then that property would be diminished in terms of redevelopment opportunities. Of course, now they're going right down the middle of 90 Water Street, and there are no redevelopment opportunities, Eversource said, except maybe a park or a parking lot. So the idea of a public hearing to discuss all of this, and again, the feeling that some of us have is that they're not going to change the route. It would add a couple of years to the bridge project, but it's certainly useful to point out that there are alternatives to what they're proposing, and also in the DEP's draft permit, DEP would require them to post a $700,000+ bond to cover inadvertent spills of the drilling fluid. And the Corps of Engineers will have a condition that if there's any effect on the future maintenance of the channel, Eversource would move the cables. So why in the world wouldn't there be a similar protection for the city's interest? That if the city if the cost goes up as a result of the cables for maintenance or improvement or replacement of the visitor's dock or the boat launching ramps, then Eversource is responsible for the added cost. And I think that's in my opinion, that's the argument that we all have to make. But the Harbor Commission also talked about reiterating the previous comments that were made in the pre-application phase. And if you remember, and also with the Siting Council, and that there was a joint letter that was signed by the chair of the Harbor Commission, Alan, and by Steve, that transmitted those comments. And I think I thought that the understanding the commission had, in addition to petitioning for the hearing, that we would have to submit a statement at by the close of the public comment period that would essentially reiterate what we provided before. And that the request was that the Shellfish Commission agree to having it as a joint submittal. And one of the statements that maybe Steve has worked on a motion to discuss with you. But in addition to supporting the public hearing, it would be the statement that if the city is the cost goes up for maintenance or repair in the future, then Eversource pays. I think that's I don't see how anybody could object to that, making that argument. And then the last thing I'll say about the Eversource, and forgive me for going on so long, is we were very fortunate to have Mr. Mailman help us for a number of years on this without any compensation. And without his help, we wouldn't know hardly anything about this and about the underground construction of electric transmission lines. And I think both the Shellfish Commission and the Harbor Commission owe him, respect for helping us without any compensation. And when this is over, I hope that both the Harbor Commission and the Shellfish Commission could write a letter of thanks to him because he helped us without any request for compensation, just as an effort to help us understand this and do the right thing. Thanks, Steve. Sorry to go on for so long.
Thanks, Jeff. Good report. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good report.
I just add to that a little bit.
Go ahead, Alan.
Yeah, Jeff, as soon as you have some language for a letter to Deep in response to this project, I'm happy to look at it. We can sign it. I haven't heard anything from you or John since we last talked about that at the last vision meeting.
Yeah, and I think that the idea, Alan, was that the Shellfish Commission would agree to that tonight. If they did, then we put together the letter to send, or certainly to review, for you to review and Steve to review. But assuming the Shellfish Commission agrees to do that.
And the only thing I would add to his thank you would be maybe a bowl of ice cream or two, since we know that that's his weakness.
Yeah.
So thanks, Jeff.
Are we supposed to make a motion to write a letter or?
No, we'll cover it in old business.
Okay.
A motion to accept committee reports as presented.
So
Make a
moved by
motion.
Pagler.
B. Johnson, second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Hearing none, the committee reports carry. We'll go over to old business, and as Matt Schuler from Race has been kindly waiting, we could go on with 49 Neptune that he's representing. John, Pete, and I carried out a site inspection there this week. It looked pretty straightforward. And Matt, I don't know if you have any additional comments or questions before we do put this on the table.
Nope, nothing for me. I talked to the owner about the comments he made on site, and he's all right with everything that was said. So
Terrific. Okay, thanks, Matt. So what I would request a motion for is just standard language. It's a very straightforward project with the addition of cutting out the peat/bog such that it could be transplanted and staked back in site. We know that this is a significant carbon capture material as well as anti-erosion and contributes greatly to shellfish communities, especially the rib mussel. And it's good to hear that the applicant has no objection. And I have spoken to Emily Hertz and to Sue Jacobson, and this is something that they will be accepting across the state. That is pile cutouts that go through wetlands such that the peat or bog will be disturbed. That footprint can now be required as a special condition to be transplanted elsewhere on the site. So for 49 Neptune, it would be just our standard pier ramp dock language plus the peat and bog cutouts. And
Hey,
if,
Steve, if you would, I would just like Matt, I want to encourage you guys to make sure that the angle coming off of the bulkhead matches the specs that were submitted. Otherwise, we have channel interruption or potential channel interruption. So if people could just be very attuned to making sure that it comes off that same angle, that would be appreciated.
so that's a 90-degree angle, correct, John?
It's, I don't know. I'll let Matt do that. I looked at what the angle was coming off when we were there and what the angle looked like from the map, survey map that Matt provided. So that seemed to be okay from my perspective.
Okay.
Because
Okay. Matt, you want to comment on that?
Yep. In accordance with the Harbor Management Commission's comments, actually, I added the littoral property lines to the drawing, and it's about 8 feet from the neighboring property to the east. That's where the dock lands off that littoral property line. So we're well within the applicant's littoral property lines, and the alignment's going to be followed about 90 degrees off the wall, like you were saying, Steve.
Okay.
So,
All right. So no change to that. Okay.
perfect.
Great.
That sounds appropriate.
Thank you for that, John. So a motion for that standard language, peat bog cutouts, and the angle to be maintained as presented at 90 degrees.
Make a
We still-
motion.
So
Are
I
we
will
still
second it.
including, excuse me, are we still including pulling the
Yes, standard language
dock and the,
and float stops, 5
Float
foot
stop.
height, all that good stuff. Yep.
okay,
Thank you, Pete.
Page
So
seconds.
okay, looks like we had Nick motion, John second, and all in favor.
All right.
All right. Thank you
Aye.
very much. Thanks, Matt, for coming, and thank you for the help on site.
of course, thank you all. Have a good night.
You too,
too.
sir. So we have 130 Water Street on our agenda. I don't have paperwork, and Mr. Bajek, I see, is not here. I did hear that bulkhead presentation during harbor management. I don't know that we have a dog in this fight, so to speak. It looked like it was pretty straightforward. And maybe I can just comment back to Chairman Dr. Pinto that we just have no comment with no bias. Is that okay? Yes.
is that where they're doing the bulkhead now, where they're working?
So this is the old oyster property where the marina is being built. They're redoing the, yeah, and instead of a sheet pile, it's going to be timber.
Okay,
And it's pretty straightforward, and every accommodation looks like it's being made versus bulkhead creep.
oh, yeah, that's Gary Whitmore, okay.
Yeah, so it's a COP. We're not required to comment, but very
Right.
kindly, Dr. Pino sends us these.
Okay.
Okay, let's move on to Nathan Hale. Jeff introduced this, I think, well, and we heard Ms. Jones' comments at the outset of the meeting. Again, I have 2 issues that, and Jeff highlighted both of them. The tentative determination to approve is like the notice we got that indicated there was any dredging at all involved with the property. And frankly, I just think that that's way out of line. And that's clearly indicates a fault in the process. And I don't want to read any more into it other than that. I'm certainly hopeful that there wasn't any malintent with respect to doing this. So those are my 2 pieces of contention, if you will, that the notice was inappropriate and that the process was inappropriate. I think we can confirm with both commissions here, I haven't missed too many meetings, that was never discussed. I'm wondering if Chairman Kibbe, if you'd like to comment, or Jeff, if you'd like to comment about just those 2 points before we move on to Nathan Hale.
Yes, go ahead.
But Alan, okay, well, when we looked at in both the Shellfish Commission and the Harbor Commission, when we looked at the pre-submission plans, which the applicant has to provide to the Shellfish Commission and Harbor Commission, and then before submitting the application to DEEP, the pre-submission plans did not include a dredging component. And the Harbor Commission had no objection to the plans moving forward to an application. When the public notice came out, DEEP's tentative notice to approve the project, it mentioned that that dredging was being approved, maintenance dredging. However, the draft permit that was included in the public notice didn't identify an area to be dredged. So that, of course, raised some questions. Steve responded, and there was, you notice that it was public comment period was just about up. Steve inquired of DEEP about this, and DEEP's answer was that yes, they recognized that there was an oversight to not have the public notice include in the draft permit the area that would be dredged. That was an oversight, and they corrected that. However, they said that this was maintenance dredging because it had been dredged previously with permits in 1984 and then a certificate of permission in 2001. So it's an area that's around the existing residential dock and going out to the Wilson Cove channel. And that originally, or most recently, the applicant had proposed to have that dredging approved with a certificate of permission. And then DEEP said, well, we'll put it all in the permit. But the process was flawed because one, the draft permit put out for public review didn't show the dredging area. And neither the Harbor Commission or the Shellfish Commission had an opportunity to comment on the proposed dredging. And so the initial concern was if this area hadn't been dredged before, they're setting a precedent to allow residential dredging through, areas that would have shellfish resource value. But DEEP did provide a permit from 1984 and a COP from 2001 that identified an area of 8,000 square feet, an area of 8,000 square feet to be dredged to a depth of minus 5.5 at mean low water. So it does appear, and then the most recent drawing, the plan drawing they submitted, also said 8,000 square feet. So it appears it's the same area that was approved previously, but the process was not proper. I hope you understand. Does that make any sense, Steve?
Yeah, let me just get that clear. So we're now understanding that it was previously dredged and approved to be dredged, and it seems to be the same square footage as the previous time.
Yes. That's our understanding from looking at these. But the problem is when it was submitted to the Harbor Commission and the Shellfish Commission, the dredging component of it wasn't included. It was added at the last minute without informing the Harbor Commission before it went out to public notice. And then the public notice was flawed because the plans that were included with it didn't show the dredging area. I don't know what the remedy is for this other than to express, a concern about the process, and that every area of proposed dredging should be provided to the Shellfish Commission for the obvious reasons for comment.
Alan, would you like to add anything to that, sir? Okay. So, I also noticed that the units of area changed depending on where you were looking. So I noticed in the document to be signed, it had 0.1 acres, which is equivalent to 8,000 square feet earlier in the document, but not so sure why that was done and how those were arrived at. And there should be some consistency there. But I'm worried that this could set a precedent that if we don't complain about this, that this type of process could end up with a similar notice somewhere else. And it's not good to be blindsided by these so late in the process because like it or not, It hasn't been the policy for either commission to be particularly aggressive after the pre-application is approved.
Yeah, that's an issue.
Ms. Jones also tonight expressed some concerns with respect to the outflow pipes that are at the project. And it's my view that we could comment back to Mr. Golembiewski regarding the notice, regarding the process, the units, and ask him to confirm 100% the footprint and the square footage, the area to be dredged. And then since we have a concerned citizen asking about the pipes, that we could just ask about them as well, without bias. Any comments, discussion in this regard? Okay, hearing none, I can move forward with those communications and continue them with Mr. Golembiewski. Next on the agenda is Eversource. And again, as Jeff described in committee reports, he mentioned that during our March meeting, we asked that the Harbor Management Commission ping deep for a public hearing and to include special conditions for modifications on the Donovan Boating Center. And as he also mentioned, we do have a draft motion for tonight to be considered. And Ms. Telesco, I'll let you know that I'll forward this to you as well. It's not so lengthy, but just in the interest of disclosure. So you're welcome, ma'am. So the motion would be to reconfirm the previous recommendation from the Norwalk Shellfish Commission and the Harbor Management Commission regarding the approval of by Connecticut Deep of the proposed project, particularly concerning its impact on the Donovan Boating Center and Veterans Memorial Park. This recommendation must emphasize the necessity for special condition ensuring that any future maintenance, repair, replacement, or enhancement of the public facilities by the City of Norwalk will not be hindered nor limited in scope due to the relocation of transmission lines. Additionally, in the event of any increased costs, overages, or delay resulting from the relocation of transmission lines, the applicant or its successors shall be obliged to cover these additional expenses and compensate the city accordingly. And that we would submit to Connecticut Deep and the Norwalk Common Council these most recent comments from the Norwalk Shellfish Commission, which were provided to the Siting Council in coordination with those submitted by Harbor Management. These comments should summarize the interests and concerns of both commissions regarding this project, and that we would agree to transmit this motion in a joint statement with the Harbor Management Commission going forward. Questions, comments? Emotion, if interested.
I make a motion that we do what you just said.
Second motion.
Second by Pagler, yeah.
Okay, any discussion?
Nope.
Okay, let's bring it to a vote. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any objections or opposition? Hearing none, the motion carries. And again, I'll get those two sections out to you, Ms. Telesco. Anything else under old business? Any new business? Then we will see everyone in May, and I will entertain a motion to adjourn, please.
I make a
Second
motion,
motion.
Pete Johnson.
All right, Pete, first.
Second motion.
Thank you, Nick, seconded, and all in favor?
Aye.
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 And thank you, Steve, and everybody for tonight. It was good.
Okay.
And
No
my
worries, no
apologies
worries.
to everybody for the rough start.
Don't worry, don't worry.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Sarge, for coming.
See you later.
Yep.
Have a
Thanks,
good
Alan.
Good
weekend.
night, all.
Yep.
Good night.
Bye-bye.